Hello and welcome back to episode 18 of 2.5 Coaches. Welcome back.
Welcome
How
back.
good? How good is it to be back? It's been a while since you filmed the last one.
Yeah, we said we were back. We're back again.
Yes, sir. Had a little break. We're back.
Yeah, how many times is that going to happen?
Yeah, no,
It's
we're,
Just like Keith's content creation.
Nah, hell no.
Yeah.
I'm on a roll.
maybe
2 weeks,
this is
baby.
the year of the podcast and Keith's consistent posting on social media.
Crazy. Weird how social media works. How you post and then you actually gain some traction.
Yeah, crazy. Follow Keith for more tips on social media. Anyway, for the first one as a group of 2025, we thought we haven't had a chance to fully recap everything that happened last year.
Yep.
The whirlwind that was the last few months. We obviously spoke briefly on the last podcast that we did at the end of last year about what was happening with the gyms and combine and blah, blah, blah. But it'd be good to just kind of reflect on the entirety that the year that was. Obviously, Isaac had a pretty cool reflection of all the lessons he's learnt over the last 3 years.
All the F-ups.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
See how many swear words we can fit into this one.
None, that was an F. That was
If anyone could go back and just listen to it and count how many swear words there were.
Yeah, it was actually pretty bad.
Yeah, fun drinking game. Listen to podcast episode number 17. Every time Isaac says the swear word or the F word, have a
This is what happens when you two are around. I have to be the mature one, and when I'm on my own, I can just be myself.
It was
and
9:30
let it rip.
at night.
Anyway, right from the start of January, Isaac, what was the first thing that happened last year?
Well, I've got here Juddy leaving.
Oh, yeah.
Juddy.
So as a theme, I guess we should say as a theme, we'll try
we'll
like
talk about-
highlight what our athletes kind of did throughout last year, mostly. Obviously, as everything we do, we want to try and make it as much about the athletes as possible, highlight their achievements, as we kind of did with the Around the Grounds throughout each week last year. But yeah, I guess the first one was Juddy
Heading off to Norths.
over in Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, he had a big year over there, which is really cool to see.
Long-term goal of his to go over there.
Mm-hmm.
What was next?
Keith prepared.
Yeah, so many to go through, actually.
Trinity starting back up as well. I guess
Yeah.
that's a whole separate subject in itself for the year, but I think last year was a pretty progressive year for the Trinity.
Yeah, Trinity crew. I
Yeah.
think we actually did a lot of stuff in there to change things around a little bit. Phases got changed. How we wanted to approach the younger years as well.
Talk a bit louder.
We're all being
sorry,
very
sorry.
quiet.
Yeah.
And then we started obviously long-term athlete development with the younger kids, especially like moving them through the app instead of having the phases.
Yeah. Well, that was a very back end of the year.
Yeah, sorry.
I think.
Fast track.
Well, the biggest thing last year was probably you starting with the footy guys.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
And then we've spoken a little bit about that, but yeah, you want to talk more about it?
Not again.
Not again. All right, Keith had his moment.
Yeah, apparently I mentioned this too many
Fine.
times, but obviously got a bit lucky last year. Got signed my first team as a head S&C for Trinity Footy, which is pretty cool. Got to work under Chris Main. Very interesting year. I mean, it's fun that you kind of don't get your hand held the whole way and kind of have to try shoot out. But it was really good. Very minimal soft tissue injuries, which is probably a big plus. A very progressive year. I don't know, like the group was really good. I feel like personally we could have gone a lot further. I think towards the back end we lost a couple of boys to state, which made a big change to the group dynamic, but also obviously with what happened to one of the Qantas boys that passed away. Obviously the vibes got shifted a little bit towards the back end, but finishing top 3 was a highlight. Obviously beating Hale after not winning for 10 years was a big one.
It's a big achievement.
I think just actually stacking some wins on the board after the
Yeah.
last few years was pretty big.
I actually got to actually know what the song. Actually got to listen to the team song, which is cool.
It's always a marker of success if you can actually sing the song and know it word by word.
Hopefully that stays the same this year, but fingers crossed.
Yeah.
We obviously kicked off with Sharks as well,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
the Rockingham Sharks crew, which was cool. That was a very interesting year for us. And I feel like it was kind of similar, where it was a bit of a disappointing end to the year. Like, I had full faith in that group, especially Tom as a coach. Like, unreal mentality as a human being, and especially being a player coach, it makes a difference when the player coach is the one that, like, he's an animal, and he absolutely sets the standard. And you watch him play, and he'll take 3 or 4 hit-ups in one set. He'll make a couple tackles in one set, and he will blow a gasket, literally, and then just come off, go straight back on. Like, he's just, yeah. But regardless, we had a really progressive year. Same thing, obviously, a bit of a new introduction with the S&C and the S&C style that we run. Because it was cool. Like, Tommy's on that other end where he's a bit old school from a coaching perspective. I got to try and have those tough conversations about the new school and how we do things. And we ended up having this real nice merge towards the back end of the year where we were working really well together, where we would, in elements, pushing them from a mental perspective, which is obviously, especially in rugby league, there's a lot of mentality that goes into that game. There's a lot of toughness, essentially. Very different
headspace.
It is very different. Like, it's a very tough sport. But then also we need that sports science element where, like, the reduction in injury risk and keeping players on the field is always key, because especially when you've got a talented group, it's massive. So that was cool. I really, really, really enjoyed that. It was a tough year. It was outside the box a bit, and it was challenging, but I loved it. I love the Sharks as well. Their culture, the whole community, and the people that run the place there. Definitely love what they do and look after that place well. So,
and then Perry Lakes as well.
Yeah,
and Basie. Perry Lakes was like, it was always going to be a tough season for the men's side, with like quite a few big names retiring from the season prior, new coach coming in, a very
Bailey
young.
Cole. Shut up, Bailey. I miss you.
Where is that guy?
So it was like, quite a young group, and the lack of experience definitely showed in some of the closer games, especially like towards the end of the games, and which was a bit of a shame. They probably finished like kind of where they deserved to, just outside of the top 8 based on like obviously their performance, but at the same time could have pushed to make playoffs, and on any given night could have been very competitive with any team. But it should be exciting this year. Like, they got a pretty similar group to last year, some new imports, and the boys have been putting in a lot of work throughout the off-season, pre-season currently. So I'm excited for this year. And then the women's team was pretty successful last year. And again, like, kind of been able to have a bit of an impact on that. Not necessarily old school, but just they'd done the same warm-up for 5 years or something before every single training. And I remember, like, back when I was playing with the men's, like, it was the same warm-up that I watched them do from the other court. And you could just like anyone who's been in a team where you do the same warm-up even for, a few months in a row, like, it just very quickly becomes mundane. You're doing the same thing, just going through the motions, and you're not actually ready to go once training starts. And then also, like, the philosophy that we talk about, and actually, Isaac, you put a pretty good post on like the movement prep side of things at the start of the session being something that can be progressed. Like, as you improve in something, the stimulus required to like make progression is obviously going to be higher, but the stimulus to warm up is going to be higher. Like, just from a gym example to make it a bit easier to conceptualize, like, if I can squat 100 kilos, then my warm up at 50 kilos is probably going to be sufficient as a build up. But if I can now squat 200 kilos, that 50 kilo warm up is probably beginning to become a bit redundant, obviously as a progression up. But so if we want to scale that, now my new quote unquote warm up set would maybe be 100 kilos if we're looking at that 50% of your working set. And we can take that same principle to just general movement prep, obviously ramping it up throughout. You're not just going to jump straight into like a 75% effort sprint, but, where you might start with some simple like long lever holds, that turns into some more like marching movements where you're challenging that stability element and holding that position, as well as the activation of the muscles that we're trying to get. So I think those first few warm-ups that I ran, they were like, oh my God, we were so sore the next day. I was like, man, like, these were like basic warm-up exercises, but it's just because they've been going through the motions for the same exercise and they've adapted to those exercises. So it's good to kind of like impact that a little bit, and then it flowed on to where like obviously a big part of what we do is like that game kind of thing, at the psychological readiness and the group readiness going into your first drill, as well as the physiological readiness, but kind of empowering them, the sports coaches, like the head coach and the assistant coaches there on both the men's and women's team, to try implement like some sort of game that leads into their first drill. And you could see like, immediately a lot more talking, a lot more like shit chat, but a lot more readiness going into those first drills, like physiologically and psychologically. So they're just less like soft tissue kind of stuff, like niggles and stuff popping up at the start, but also high quality of training as well.
100%. Trinity rowing?
Yeah. Obviously, moving on to Trinity rowing as well. Obviously, very good, very successful last year. Obviously, not as successful as the previous year, but we won obviously first overall, and then came third in the head regatta.
I've got Rach headed over to where did they go? It was, I think, I'm not sure if it was Northern Territory or over east for the state titles for WA. And obviously she's progressed. She's had massive progressions this year, and obviously starting a new chapter in Sydney, which is exciting for her. I've got Mr. Haintrain coming back for an off-season.
Back for an off-season and then transferred. All the years getting muddled up. He transferred to a new school, James Madison University, so like a bigger D1 school. And when he got there and he sent me videos, I was like, this is insane. Like,
it's just that next level, eh?
Yeah. So, and he's been, like managing to get back on court after injuries and stuff. So that's been really cool to see.
Also heard of the TikTok star now. You back that claim up, or?
I don't even know. I don't have TikTok.
Just make sure you like his post, otherwise he will ask you to do so. Mr. Roberts, Caleb Roberts, obviously kind of my child, kind of my most annoying client, kind of love him, kind of don't know. He's obviously been a client of mine, or an athlete of ours, for the last 4 years. So he's here before Perform.
Started.
And he's obviously had massive progressions. The way that kid, I still remember, I use that video of him running in one of the courses, using his technique as a way not to run. But then obviously he's had a massive transformation. It's like any of those athletes that they've all got these little element of obsession about what they do, and they always turn up, which is always the biggest one, that consistency factor. But he's obviously had a lot of success, and he always comes back from the last venture that he's been to and goes, all right, I need to work on this. I want to do this. I want to be better here. I want to be faster here. But obviously for him, got an opportunity to play in the World Cup for South Africa, which is obviously a bit tough in terms of, like, especially for those nations, they meet up the week before the World Cup, and then that's their prep. Whereas like Australia, New Zealand, like they're training year round, or like months for the year. They'll do camps and stuff like that. So he obviously himself had an incredible tournament. The team, he said, he obviously did quite well, but again was a bit tough in the circumstances. But regardless, it's still a huge achievement to play for your nation, especially in touch footy. Is a pretty brutal sport from a skills and a fitness and a conditioning demand, and it's a pretty big achievement.
Yeah. And then throughout the season, obviously we've got Simba making his debut for the Prem grade. That was pretty cool to watch. That was huge.
And did he score a try?
Yeah, on debut. Yeah, that was
crazy.
The greatest. That was pretty cool, but I feel that's like Perform. Like he started in third grade.
Yeah.
He was like, I kind of got ambitions to play first grade. Like trained his ass off, kept training. Like the guy's in his late 30s, am I wrong? Mid to late 30s. I think it's 36, 37. Ended up playing Premier grade and scoring a try in his first game.
Absolute
I was like,
freak.
But that's like, we love that. That's the Perform story. That we're proud of. We obviously started the podcast.
Yeah, that was huge.
And then we had a break.
Great success, very nice.
And then we had another break. But yeah, that's been an interesting ride.
Surprised people have listened. That's pretty cool. Thanks to all three of you.
What else has been there?
So many at the moment.
We got Zane, who came in, sent off number 5, and he's at his recent number 6.
Yeah.
That kid's, again, same as Caleb's been in and out for years. Same thing. He's very progressive in what he does, and he always comes back with, I want to work on this, I want to do this, I want to get better at this. Obviously, it was a bit of a special in terms of his coming back from like an ACL rehabilitation. So he did his ACL over in the US. Was a pretty gnarly kind of contact injury. Got through his first 3 months, came over here, did a little bit of that mid stage with us, went back, came back and did a bit of late stage. And then he's been over and playing for a season. And now he's heading over to South Dakota
How good is
for
that?
his next chapter.
Okay, he's got to put so much size on. Jesus Christ, so big.
Your children, Dumb and Dumber?
Yeah. Again. I've got so many Dumb and Dumber duos now.
I've got the state titles, Australian Games.
Yeah, so it was the national schools champs. They won. Yeah, they won the whole thing, which is sick. Always good when WA wins.
Good stuff.
Good. We like that. But then on top of that, both of them got named in the All-Australian team I think they called it All-Australian team, but essentially like the best players, the top 5 players from the comp as a whole, which is awesome. And yeah, they both had a pretty big year. Like, fast forward a little bit throughout the year, they both played in the under 18s, like club champs, which was the first time they ever did that, along with all the Hoop Fest stuff.
Yep.
And Lockie and Willerton managed to get all the way to the grand final. Unfortunately, fell a bit short. But like pushing some of the best teams around the country, and it's been really cool over the last few years with like the NBL 1 nationals, just the regular basketball nationals for all the different age groups. Like WA is really doing well. Like that same, I feel like it's just always that narrative. Like, you know, when people compare America to Australia, it's like, oh, we're 10 years behind. Or basketball, like WA has always been significantly behind the other states, but now it's like, we're legit. Like NBL 1 West is one of the strongest competitions at the wobble level. We're producing some pretty good teams and showing at that national stage. So it's really cool that, you know, WA is becoming very competitive. Yeah.
Anything else in season you've got there?
Reece signed.
Yeah, Reece obviously played through NBL 1 season with Coburn. Didn't have the best year as a team, unfortunately, but he played pretty well. And then earned himself a contract over in Japan, where he's currently playing. And they've been doing really well. Only dropped a handful of games, I think. But it's been awesome for him to get back to that pro contract as that whole time. Like, it'd be good to have him on and kind of talk about that as well. But obviously the stresses, like we talk about some of the pros where they're kind of in and out of contracts and how stressful that is. Obviously they're focused on performing in the semi-professional or like amateur kind of level. Like obviously you want your team to do well, but then you're also concerned about your individual performance because you're having to, you know, have scouts look at your play and that kind of thing. So I think credit to Reece for like always backing himself and playing well, playing just hard no matter what, and kind of holding his teammates up to a higher standard as well.
And he was always like that. Like he was very professional. Like
yeah.
always came and did his sessions, always went in and shot, always did extras, did court sessions with you. Like he always did. You could just see the professionalism in him, and no matter if there's a contract there or not, the professionalism just holds all the way through, which was cool to see.
I think even also like I guess Kane was like another big one throughout that kind of process. Like it's I think it's really cool. Like we always talk about what's so special about the environment that we created here is that pros like that are training at the same time as aspiring pros, maybe at that kind of late teens, early 20s kind of age where they're on the cusp of maybe making a professional side. But then also the like youth from 12 to 15, like they get to come in the gym and see how a professional approaches their training session. And, you know, obviously we preach that for the youth side, like it doesn't need to be serious. It doesn't, and we want it to be enjoyable and it's a long-term thing, but just being able to see that and like, okay, that's what it's like. And that's what it takes to be that, but then also understanding like where they're at in that process as well has been really cool. I think that happened a bit more last year as well, like as we got more guys coming in and out, guys like Zane coming in, guys like Caleb coming in for off seasons, and everyone else around, like who's aspiring to be in those positions, seeing people there, and there's like, okay, like it's not that far off for me, like I know what I can do to be like that person. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it's kind of, I always think about it, it's like a that saying, like, is it like don't meet your heroes?
Yeah.
And it's like you have this perception behind what they do and how they do things, and then you end up meeting them, and obviously like they're special in their own way, and they're obviously talented and all that kind of stuff, but they're another human being, and they just do the process really well. And you look at that and you're like, so if I train hard, if I do all my extras, it's not too far away, and there's obviously some other factors in there, but it's interesting, and it's good to close that gap and see it a bit. Before we'll do a bit more like in season and like even like return to plays. We probably can rattle off a few as well. People that have come back. Yeah,
It's huge.
I was just going to say before we get there, there's the absolute. If you can go to Perform HQ, scroll back to August, and you can see a photo of Lewis standing on a footy field, and then if you swipe across, there's a video of him trying to drop kick some footies through a goalpost, and absolutely, he's an AFL player, so he kicks half of his life, and he absolutely slices the first two. And then he ends up getting the rest and winning the thing. But just, I thought that was absolutely hilarious. It was nice to see the P logo out in the middle of a rugby league game as well. Anyway, that was just funny. Little side note.
Yeah, that was good.
But Kaya,
Kaya,
yep, had his return from his ACL. And then, obviously, again, kid has worked his ass off. Another kid that's he's unfortunately had a bit of a shitty run, I want to say, in terms of obviously did his ACL, started here, and then he's just had some little knocks and stuff, like some bigger injuries at his shoulder last year as well. But again, one of those kids that's just still going at it and not letting it knock him away. And it can sometimes happen, especially around those like teens to whatever it is, if they can get some significant injuries, they're losing like a year, like 12 to 18 months of playing, which is
like
pretty valuable.
Very critical like development stage, but also like from a scouting perspective as well, like that's when clubs are starting to kind of look at you as well, so it's pretty tough. And it's tough, and it's all full credit to the ability to get back up and keep going. And it is, like, I remember when we had chats about he came back from his ACL and he's like, I feel fucking incredible. And then obviously got through a little bit, played the Sevens tournament, and then had his shoulder, and then from there it's been like a to square one, going through the shoulder process. But it's one of those things, and I always say it to them especially, is like these processes can be, obviously they're not great, but they can end up being like a positive in a negative, where like all the work that you go through can end up putting you into a physical position that you're better than you ever would have been before. And you see that a lot with rehab, where people will do an ACL and then they'll come back stronger than what they were before. Which realistically, like, you should.
Like all the training that you're doing.
All the training, like, you've got the chance to really focus on your body and all that kind of stuff. And I think, depending on the injury, like contact or freak injuries like that, where it's just like, all right, like no amount of preparation could have stopped that from occurring. But especially like non-contact injuries or soft tissue kind of stuff, is like, that's your opportunity. Like, you should be coming back better in your return, because you weren't physically prepared for the demands that you were facing, and that's why you got injured. And I think, like we've spoken about, like the big part of like why we're trying to get a lot of data with our guys throughout their training process, so we can establish some baselines. So touch wood, none of our guys get injured, but if something happens, like, we have that data there. So it's like, all right, this is where you were prior to injury. Like, we want to surpass that point before you return. Like, I think too many people in a return to play process are just like happy with getting back to a baseline. It's just like, no, we want to level up and we want to come back better than we were before. Just like, even if you didn't get injured through that time period, like, you'd have that same process, so same mentality of like, I want to get better. I want to be better prepared for what I'm at. So it's like, now you just got a chance to, like you said, find that positive in that negative situation, reframe your mindset of like, all right, I have a chance for 12 to 18 months to really focus on my body. I don't have to worry about my sport as much in those initial stages, and I can put myself in a position to be better than I was prior to the injury.
It is. But even to a point, sometimes there is like, that's what I was saying to Kai at the start, is like study the game. Study the game of rugby. Get your IQ up. So when you go back, like, you can read a ruck. You can read contact. You can read plays. You can... Because sometimes that is the other piece when the kids are so into the physical development, they completely forget about the IQ side of the game, and then they get into these higher levels and it's like, whoa, all these tactics and names and all this stuff, and it's a bit overwhelming. So there's definitely heaps of opportunities, but it is, and it's there's always a lot of respect to an athlete that can pick themselves back up and keep going. And obviously there's always support networks around there, but it's onto the individual to take that in a positive wind. And again, a lot of credit to Kaya and his ability to get back up. And he was on holidays in New Zealand for 2 weeks, and he did running conditioning the whole time. Like he's working while he's on holidays.
Got that dog.
Kid, he wants to keep going.
Got that dog.
Any other return of players? No, we had Troy throughout the year.
Yeah, we got Carter. Well. There's so many.
What else do we have?
Got
Carter, yep.
Carter's a big one.
I had Charlie.
Yep, Charlie.
Coming back from stress fracture in a foot.
Yeah.
And then preparing to go off to college. It was cool, and she's over there and doing pretty well.
Yeah, awesome. She is. Yeah.
What else we got?
Got a snip.
Got so many.
I feel bad because I know we're going to miss someone.
You're going to forget someone, I can guarantee it.
I
swear there was someone else. Do we have Drew?
Uncle
came back.
Uncle has always been back.
He never left. I'm trying to think what else.
Oh, are we talking about back in the season? We're talking about in season still.
Whole in season. Like the whole year. What else we got? Ella off to the US.
Yep, that was cool. In the middle of fucking nowhere.
Ella.
Yeah. I feel like we had another.
What, sent off to the US?
Sent off. We got Matt, Charlie, Ella.
Ricardo went to Poland.
Yep, Mr. Ricardo.
Kinner's left as well. Kinner's came back, left, and came back.
Stopsy, or was he? No, he was gone the whole of last year.
Stopsy's gone the whole last year.
We can't give him any shout-outs.
Not that
head's big enough.
What else? I feel like we'll circle back around to it, but then obviously throughout the year we got some pretty cool podcasts with a couple like Ferg, Connor, Hardy. There's a couple good ones in there. Batman, which was pretty cool. Like I feel
Cowboy.
Cowboy, yeah.
That's probably isn't that the most listened one?
I think
probably
so. Yeah.
Definitely the entirety of Kalani listened to that.
Absolutely.
That's what happens when you're 45. Nah.
It's 44, man. Relax.
44.
No.
34.
You're his coach, man.
I'm sorry, Betty.
The mayor of Copen.
What else we got here? We kind of feel like we're missing a lot because we're so prepared for today's podcast.
Yeah.
But we'll circle back around. But then we're starting to get to the back end of the season, so we're starting to get to finals. So who won trophies this year?
Are we talking about our trophies, or are we talking about like in...
What trophies did you get?
What did you get?
Man, I'm an inspiration to many. I am the trophy.
Shut up.
Well, for basketball, we had Max, Bucknell in the 20s, I think.
Yeah.
20s they won. Or was it D-League? No, D-League.
D-League.
Yeah.
And then Jonah and Coburn won the 20s.
Yep.
I think.
And then
Jared,
obviously.
Lockie. Oh,
Mandra.
Yeah.
Mandra. That was huge.
Yeah, that was actually massive. Jared obviously won
the
grand final basketball.
At RSC Arena.
Yes, sir.
How
about JB?
Oh,
I'll give it a shout out to JB.
JB winning the 3-point contest.
That's
still the
shot.
second best shooter at Perform HQ.
Oh, that's crazy.
Oh,
I wouldn't take that. I wouldn't take that.
And then Lockie and Willerton won under 18s. I think. Yep.
How about
Hayden and Connor won Colts.
Yeah.
Ethan and Soaks won. That was an insane game.
Yeah.
Beat Palmyra in the grand final. That was massive. It was actually pretty cool. We were standing behind the try line, and he saved scooped under a guy before he scored, saved the try. You could see he was absolutely tired.
Yeah.
Got up and just looked straight at me, and I was like, just pointed straight at him. He pointed straight at me. I was like, well, yeah,
My
so
guy.
good.
so humble too because it doesn't really say much.
Nah.
He does not say much.
No, he didn't point back. He just nodded at me and just fucking put his head down and kept going.
But it wasn't that game, but there was a game throughout the year where it was against Basie when he scored. It was like when he needs to practice on his celebrations. He's too humble, doesn't know how to celebrate.
Just nods, handshakes, that's it. Humble.
Oh, how about Tom winning best and first for NRL?
Yeah, that was, I think it was well deserved.
Yeah.
But Mr. Murph, congratulations. He's obviously back on the sunny coast now.
Yes, sir.
Back home. Noosa Pirates. Pretty cool.
And then a couple of boys from Sharkies obviously got Team of the Year as well. That was pretty good.
Yep.
I think, what was it, like 3, 4, no, I think 4 of them got Team of the Year? 3 of them?
Yeah, I think 4.
Oh, no, 4. Logs, Tom.
Kills.
Yeah, Kills
Tom.
and Brendo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting back-to-back hat-tricks throughout the year.
Yeah, back-to-back hat-tricks too throughout the year.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Try-scoring machine. So far, obviously won the captains, the Wanneroo to a grand final as well, which is really cool.
And then went to Japan.
Yep.
The Force.
Yep.
Huge. I think we got, Oh, and Ashby. You got to mention Ashby's fight.
Yeah, I did get in trouble because I didn't mention him. So Ashby, congratulations. But he obviously won the national title fight, which is massive. But again, I feel like Ashby's potential and his ceiling he's not scratching it yet. But I'm definitely proud of him. But he's one of the clients I'm probably the hardest on because he has the most potential. Yeah. He's obviously won the national title fight, but he's got some big fights lined up this year. Yeah. Once he gets back from his 15th holiday of the year, we'll be getting stuck into that prep.
Since he got that jet ski, bro.
There's Maldives and there's jet skis and then I can't keep up with
Still haven't
life.
got an invite yet, still waiting.
One day. Christmas party 2025.
Maldives.
Sponsored by Ashby.
Combined in the Maldives.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Speaking of which, we had...
Maldives?
Maldives? Do we have anything else prior to off-season?
A couple of boys got signed, obviously, towards the back end of the year, which is pretty cool.
For what?
For overseas, like Jacob Partington signed towards the back end of the year. You want to talk about that? That's pretty cool.
Jacob Phipps as well.
Yeah, Jacob Phipps as well.
Early in the season.
Yeah.
What else do we have?
Oh, Gibbo doing the
Waffle?
Ironman again.
Or AFLW as well.
AFLW, yeah. First year at AFLW was pretty cool. Ran a 2K in a 6.
The vice mayor of... Is it vice mayor? Is that what you call it? Vice mayor of Coburn.
Nice. He's number one.
Deputy mayor?
Deputy.
Coburn?
I see.
Well,
this is why I did the podcast on my own, because I knew that like if you were on the podcast, it would take like 3 hours.
Yeah, you could tell I'm stoked to be here.
Jesus.
Fuck.
All right, next week it is 2 coaches. What else we got?
From there, transitioning to off-season.
Yep.
Yeah.
Obviously, you had combine number 1.
Yeah.
Which was cool. It was at Newman. That was like real cool setup. So hopefully get that locked in for this year as well.
Sure.
But being able to have like the court and the field right next to each other, which was sick because like as guys were finishing up, they're heading out to the field and watching that, or guys finishing in the field, like watching the court guys and everyone egging each other on, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And then we had our whole off season, which was nuts.
Yeah.
We had that, and then
we also missed a massive piece. Was obviously the introduction of Perform Athlete.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we've very slightly mentioned that at the start.
Sorry. Snipping a move. Yep, straight in.
DJ Keith. Jesus.
What's a time lapse one? It's like when you. Oh fuck! I'm off track.
Okay, you have a break from the mic for like 5 minutes.
sorry.
But yeah, we transitioned from Perform SC to Perform Athlete, and that was just the whole purpose of that was just to obviously shine a light a lot more on the athlete, which is the whole purpose about what we're doing, and to kind of give them like obviously we're like gyms mowing. We're like gyms mowing. There's gyms mowing. There's gyms aircon. We wanted them to have essentially like their own brand, and it's one of those things that like obviously most people you see someone walking down, they got a P shirt on, like a Perform shirt, you know who it is, but if someone's got like a Perform athlete, there's someone you can align with, someone that you know that maybe you haven't met before. Like it's
beforehand, the only alignment that we had was when people were in a gym. We've spoken about this on the podcast, but we have members training at a commercial gym.
Oh yeah.
Not knowing each other from a bar of soap, spotting another person across the gym doing some weird ass exercise, then like, hey, is Isaac your coach?
Now they can both wear a shirt in the Revo
then,
gym.
yeah, even better. But I think that's been cool. Like you said, kind of rebranding that, putting more focus on the athlete, but then kind of connecting people a little bit more, especially across gyms, and now that which we'll touch on soon, but opening up that third gym, like spreading, because we're spreading a little bit more across. Some people won't cross over as much because before, when it was just HQ, obviously most people knew each other. But now it's just like if you see someone who has that shirt or is part of that, or see them on the Instagram, it's like, you know, they're part of the same thing that you're part of, which is obviously huge.
Yep, off season North. I guess North is after off season, but
Combine first, eh?
Combine.
Probably, yeah,
Combine
Combine number two.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Combine number 1. I was like, you been napping?
No, Combine number 2. That was huge. That was a massive day. Holy.
That
was a very big day.
Yeah, I mean, as we say every year, but it gets bigger and better every year.
Yeah, I think.
But it truly has, and I think grateful to all the sponsors. We restructured a little bit with the sponsorship, having like major sponsors of the Combine itself, and then also the event sponsors. And without all their support, like the day can't happen anywhere near as smoothly. So grateful to all those businesses that supported us. Rattle some off, Oso Deli, Runya, Micrology,
HD Plumbing.
HD Plumbing, yep.
Fit Aid, we had Pure Sports.
Obi and Slow Days, obviously Obi was the major sponsor.
Said that, Micro.
Dimatina.
Dimatinas, yeah. Dimatinas.
Hoop 7.
Yep. Mixed bag.
I feel like we missed
Fins? Not Fins. What's
Dolphins.
Yeah, Dolphin
Fins.
assets.
And Lee K.
And Lee K Logistics.
Nice.
A bit of a mix.
Thanks, Dad.
You call me Dad. That's crazy.
Oh my God.
No, but it's also like in the Combine, obviously introduced our first youth Combine.
Yeah.
That was actually very fun. I think watching the kids got to watch some of the older guys lift weight was by far one of the funniest shit ever. How about how about
You give me crap for swearing on the last one.
Sorry.
You've sworn the most.
Beep.
We've seen this scene, obviously Happy Gilmore 2 is coming up. Have you watched Happy Gilmore 1? When he's like losing his mind, he's like, you bip and bip and bip. Anyway.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Bringing some entertainment to the pod.
Yeah, but that was sick, having youth part of it. And obviously North opened up after the fact, but we kind of started separating people into North, like the members who were transitioning up there and signed up there. So really beginning that North versus South rivalry.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Just watching, like, the best part of the day is just watching, obviously, guys competing, like, first and foremost, competing against yourself. You're trying to improve on your own numbers, but the shit chat between some of the guys, like Samuel and Sam Bray and Justin, like, every event, it was just like, what'd you get on the last one? What'd you get on the last one? And they're just competing head to head and just, like, chatting shit as soon as someone beats someone else. But then at the same time, they're doing that and then turning around and gassing up someone else for beating their own personal best or something. So I think that environment was awesome. Obviously, the shirts were sick. Seeing everybody wearing the shirts.
Yeah.
That panning video is pretty cool. Like everyone's together.
Yeah.
A video of everyone in their shirts. It's like panning across the room. That was pretty cool.
So that was awesome. And just, like, crazy.
Winners of the day as well. Obviously, Louis and Phoebe.
Louis and Phoebe winning the Combine. Rigged.
God damn, it's so rigged. But
apparently Jack messaged Louis and asked if there was anyone else competing in the Combine.
Oh. That's crazy.
He is an athlete. Louis is an athlete.
Yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know Louis, he's just part of the furniture. He's been here since day one.
Yeah.
Since before day one.
Well, you know what? He's been really consistent this year, which is
crazy.
wild.
But he was at the start of 2024, so
Yeah.
we'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah.
The drop-off's crazy.
He's the most consistent athlete we have.
Consistently inconsistent.
But he's
Obviously, move on to the awards tonight.
Yep.
Our Christmas party.
You want to go through the awards?
Sure.
You got it there.
Yeah. So obviously we got 6 different awards that we hand out after every year. The accumulates obviously with the coaches that we vote. We got a list panels, like top, was it 3 people that we usually nominate? And then...
Yeah, so all the coaches, we kind of have each award. So we've got the Performance Builder Award, so the most improved, most consistent, hardest worker, what was it? Youth.
Said it.
What was the other one?
Hardest worker, most
Hardest worker.
improved, most consistent.
Youth Athlete of the Year.
Oh, most outstanding achievement.
Yeah. Most improved.
So then, we obviously have those, all of us. We put the word out firstly to all the athletes so they can kind of vote for each other.
Yep.
Sometimes put their own name into the hat.
Yeah. We accumulate the votes.
Then, as coaches, we put our athletes or who we think deserves to be in there, and then from there we come up with a final list of 3.
Yeah. And the first
Nominees.
award, obviously, was the most consistent. I think this one wasn't there. It was
Hotly
only
contested and hotly argued, this one.
Well, to be fair, only 2 people really stayed the most consistent throughout the whole year.
It was more consistent.
It was more.
more.
It was more, but
There was 2 standouts.
there was 2
There was
standouts.
2 that their pure focus for the entire year was to
Was
win
to
this
win,
award.
yeah.
It wasn't until the very end when they realised that they could be in the running. This
Yeah.
year, that is their sole intention, that to the point where they're asking me to put 5 sessions a week during the holidays so they can get the most.
And obviously the winner's Ross. Congratulations, Ross.
The Hoss.
But it was so funny, I think. Obviously being contested with Brono. They're really good mates as well.
But it's been cool, I think. Just credit to them as well for just been so consistent throughout the year. And there was obviously so many guys and girls who could have been up for that award as well.
And then second we'll move on to the hardest worker award. I think this one was a hard one to pick. Obviously it was a hard one to pick.
Pun intended? Or?
Oh.
Yeah. We say this for every award. We say this for every award, but
This
it
one
is
was
hard to pick.
genuinely hard to pick. 'Cause the nominations was pretty good in this one. I think there was so many.
We've also just got a lot of hard workers. I think it's a mix of obviously just them and themselves, and then the environment where it's like it's always that thing of like you walk into a gym and everyone's standing on their phone chatting away. You're probably not going to be super motivated to push. If you walk into a gym and everyone's pushing hard, it's like it breeds across.
Breeding from that consistency side of things as well. It's like guys who are showing up consistently every week and you're seeing them improve, and it's like, well, that makes me want to push myself to improve, and everyone's pushing each other to improve. So
It's also the intent just that when it's just the intent on how they train as well.
And just like everything we do, obviously trying to cultivate that environment that it's easy to work hard.
I think it's so funny when Marcel won and we posted that. We did that post and everyone shared it. And he was telling me on Friday last week how everyone just he felt so bad because he shared the ones that we tagged him in. And people started tagging him and sharing it. And he's like, I just can't not share this. So he had 20 in a row of people sharing it. He was saying how he felt like a shit bloke if he didn't share every single one.
Oh, Mr. Popular must be hard.
It's tough out here for the
But he is,
hardest
and
workers.
he's that kind of guy, especially with how tough the Sharks season was on the field.
Yeah.
The work that he did in the field, especially for him, a big focus was obviously conditioning. So he got some pretty brutal conditioning throughout the year, but every single time, he was emptying the tank.
Yeah.
And it's easy to empty the tank on conditioning 1 or 2 times, and then you get that little bit of fear and you're like, nah, I don't like this anymore.
Kept going.
He just kept doing it, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
It's got to go to a dark place.
yeah, every week.
And we move on to the most outstanding achievement. So this one, I think this one was a standout. So far it was nearly the clear standout.
Yeah.
I think.
Nearly
Yeah,
a clear standout.
well, a clear standout.
Bit of an oxymoron there, but sure.
You want to explain that one?
You need that, mate, you right?
No, it's just...
No, she did. She had a and again, part of the most outstanding achievement is the perspective of where you've been as well and where you're going in the journey as well. It's obviously the achievement in and of itself. Mm-hmm. What did you actually achieve? But then obviously what has been done to get there is obviously part of it. Because that's, again, we're very process orientated. So it's important not to just shine light on just the individual achievement. It's what was done to get there. And she's obviously had a big year. She started at the start of the year. Obviously, her brother Justin's here. Joji signed up later as well. Again,
she's still the best.
probably big shout out to Mum, because she's obviously very supportive of her kids and she pushes them a lot. She does a lot for those kids as well, and they obviously appreciate it. And she came in with her day one because obviously a bit shy, chatted about the goals, and she laid out some pretty big goals, and she ticked them off this year. And she's obviously come a long way, and her captaining the side to a grand final and winning, and obviously those higher honours, which was a big goal for her. In a squad of the Western Force, which is just getting stronger and stronger and stronger.
While also playing rugby league.
Much to the difficulty of programming that.
The 2 games a week is crazy.
But it's very common.
Almost made grand final for both as well.
Yeah. It's very common in like the women's space, especially for rugby. A lot of the girls are doing both. Again, credit to them because I play one game and I'd be wrecked for a week. But
move on, obviously. Most improved. That's you again. Ethan Stratton. Like we mentioned before, won a grand final. He improved his try celebration. No. I need to get cut off. This is too much for me.
Ethan's, again, he's another one that's had a big year. Oh, man.
Be stopped.
Please do. No. But Ethan's obviously had a massive year. His transformation, I think probably one of the biggest ones I'm proud of is like, probably one of my favourite transformations ever is watching a front rower improve their speed. I think it's one of the most...
absolute fridge to being able to run.
When they can just, rotate their body in the slightest of degrees. But he was one that he had a lower back issues, was quite tired, did definitely run like a fridge, and I know he'd agree with that. But same thing, like turned up every week and kept asking questions, and we reviewed. And he had a big transformation across the year. And obviously it's not just speed, but it's like everything else across the board. He had some massive improvements, and probably one of those people that credit to him, especially in season. Like, when things get tired and you skip a few sessions here, they didn't miss a beat. And if something was up, he was a bit sore from the week, and he'd communicate, and then we'd adjust his program and we'd move forward. But I just remember throughout the year, I'd see him at least once a week. He'd come in, we'd talk about things, we'd auto-regulate his load, he'd talk about what's sore, and he'd keep going. And he's just like, his eyes was on the premiership. And it was actually quite funny because obviously winning a premiership, it changes you a little bit. Like it's a positive, and you get hungry for more. And I've got a video of them all down the field from Saturday. Manny is obviously extremely fit. It's the last reps. It's 2 sets of 6. Last rep, a few of them due to volume, we've pulled them out. There's probably, out of the 13 that were running, there's probably 5 left in this set. And I see Ethan on the last set sprint. Just go from like slow down, pace yourselves, because you can see Manny like running in front of him, and all that was in his head is like, I'm beating you. And he just ran. He just kept with Manny the whole time, and obviously Manny just gassed at the end. But just like that mentality to keep improving, getting better, it's pretty cool.
Move on to Youth Athlete of the Year. That was pretty cool. Yeah, there was 2. Obviously, we nominate one from South and one from HQ, North and HQ. Clear winner. Ben the Goat Tay. Every morning. Winners. And the hammer. Hamish. I think, I obviously got to work a bit with Hamish down in Rocco. I think you agree with us. You agree with me. I was like, the kid's done so well this year. I think the way he changed, the way he moved. And he's actually got weirdly bouncy towards the back end, which is so funny to watch. And he's got so much more coordinated. I kind of miss him.
Oh, we all do. We all do. But it's also cool, especially as the kids, when they start to get that little bit of personality.
Yeah.
He starts getting chirpy. Some days he comes in and you can see him he just auto-regulates himself. He's like, I'll pull back. Other days you're trying to hold him back.
And then with Ben as well, I think.
Yeah, he's obviously also could be up there for most consistent. Could be up there for all the awards, to be honest. But he's just someone, who's rocked up day in, day out. How many 2 years he's been?
A year plus,
But he's just been super
consistent.
So consistent. Even just every now and then when I'm trying to put together a post or something, I'm scrolling way back. I just see those videos of little tiny Ben. He's grown.
He's taller than me now. It's not that hard, but
set the ceiling high. Literally.
How good is his RSI hitting 3 plus? That's actually so crazy.
But for someone, he was. Not the most physically gifted kid coming in, like, was just worked his ass off, and now he's taken up athletics, had some success there. Like for someone who wouldn't, like, it's awesome seeing that transformation of as well of like the confidence to I'll put myself in this situation to try to push myself in something other than my sport of basketball, or so it's just been really cool to see. And he's coming in and he's like, I want to work on my speed a bit more. Like it's just dialed in.
And we'll move on to the last award. Obviously, we got Perform Spirit Award. I'm going to explain that.
You want to say anything?
You got before. I didn't get it.
English is my second language.
English is my second language.
Well, the Perform Spirit Award, obviously, like, I feel like we need to change the name of it a little bit. Everyone's just like, it feels like a like a coach's award.
Well, not really. It's.
But no, it is. We value it as probably like the biggest award, but it's someone who embodies everything that we are as a gym. Like someone who comes in, obviously a large focus of it is your individual performance and increasing that, and increasing your athleticism and all that kind of stuff on a personal level, but also the community aspect and what we build in here. And as we've spoken about throughout this whole podcast, like that environment helps to drive every individual to be better. And ultimately everyone, a rising tide raises all ships. Yeah. So people who contribute to that and also push themselves is kind of like what we're looking for. Obviously have good achievements in their own right, improve throughout the season. And yeah, this year Rachel was definitely a clear pick for that. Obviously what she's done to help promote us within like the female athlete kind of sphere, especially within rugby in WA. Obviously a very underserviced portion of strength and conditioning and just sport in general. And that's obviously a big goal of ours, is to kind of reach that a little bit more. But yeah, obviously has helped make every female who comes in here feel super comfortable. Obviously that's a big thing to come into a gym that from the outside it can look very male dominated, it can look very testosterone heavy, like everyone's lifting big weights and all that, but when you actually come in here, it's obviously the environment we try to create, that everyone feels safe, comfortable, wants to train hard, but obviously Rach has been a huge part of that and embodies everything that Perform is.
Opening a North.
That happened very quickly.
That happened very quick. I reckon we could be certified as painters after that. We can get qualified. Well, not with my paint. No, not my paint job, but everyone else that carried the team.
We have a time-lapse video, and it's like everyone painting their own little corners, and it's like
there's Keith in the tiny little
there's
corner.
it's like everyone else is like, oh, it gets through half the wall, and there's Keith.
Well, you know what though, if you look at my spots, it's all black. There's no white spots. You can see a little bit of OCD. You gotta repaint that shit. It's true. It just looks better.
True, it is true.
But the worst thing is you can't even see that spot because it's all in the back corner.
Which is why I told you not to
please,
worry.
when you're in North, go to the back right-hand side of the gym.
On top of the toilets.
Take a photo, put it on social media, and just give Keith some credit for his paint jobs.
That's what I'm saying. If you need some help painting, don't ask me.
But obviously that was huge. Like,
being
able to reach like a new demographic.
Yeah.
Well, in saying that, we had so many people who credit to all the guys that were travelling from far out, like sometimes from Alkimos, like to come and train at HQ, but to be able to give those athletes access to something a little bit closer to home, but then also kind of branch out a little bit more into that northern suburbs and try and facilitate what we do here for all the athletes up there. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think I've spoken.
Isaac is the jack of all trades.
Yeah.
Refer back to episode
17, yeah.
If you need a lock and 24-hour system,
no, you don't.
Just DM Isaac.
Crazy.
I know how to wire them, so if you need help wiring them, I can help you with that, but the rest of it's going to be a bit iffy.
We're going to mention South as well.
No.
You can mention South as well.
Yeah.
Because that did happen last year.
Hell
This is
yeah,
an
we
episode
did.
talking about everything that happened last year.
Yeah.
So.
That was a quick turnover too. That was crazy that day. We went down there and we ripped the gym apart in like, 3 hours? That was crack.
It's crazy how long it takes to set up, but how quickly it is to take it apart.
Oh, God.
Oh, man. Nah, but to be fair, like we were flying through.
Yeah.
Like
That
ripping
carpet.
That place. Yeah, that carpet was crazy.
Like glue haunt me.
Oh, shout out
That's
to
so many
what's
ballistas.
DJ's company called?
Oceanside.
Yeah,
Flooring.
Ocean.
Is it Oceanside?
I don't know DJ, but we'll chuck the link in the bio.
No, you won't.
Well, you definitely won't.
Yeah.
You don't do shit on the back end.
Whoa, whoa, that's crazy. I bring vibes, vibes and community engagement.
Post twice on social media. But yeah, obviously moving from Rockingham to Coburn.
Huge step for us.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. Obviously, we wanted to stay a bit closer towards where Rockingham or the original South was.
Yeah.
But as Isaac can speak to more so, but difficulty finding anything, and then we got lucky finding a space in Coburn, and that's growing pretty quick. And obviously, that's a pretty dense area for sporting clubs. I know basketball, there's like 4 or 5 clubs in the vicinity. There's a few rugby clubs, footy clubs. So been able to, again, bring that, and credit to some of the guys that were from the original Rockingham. They're still making the trip up to train at Coburn. So it's been cool still having them around. Obviously, more so some of the kids haven't been able to make it with their schedules and finding a way there. So that was pretty sad on that last few days, especially Hammer.
Yeah, I thought Hammer was gonna cry.
I nearly cried. Jesus.
You know what? I got a cup. He gave me a brownie, so I'll take that. Thanks, Hammer.
I remember that being like part of the pros and cons, where it was like of moving and changing it, and that was definitely one of the biggest cons. Was like a bunch of those kids down there. That was literally half of us going like, we're not going to move. Let's try and find somewhere. But
community down there, but especially with the balance between the older guys and the younger guys, was pretty cool.
Yeah,
and everyone just got along with each other. That was a different.
But we're starting to build that again. Obviously, kind of starting not from scratch, but
it's like we're not done down there, and that's the other thing. Like we've got some good referral, especially down like Mandurah and stuff. And that's what I've had a few people that reach out for S&C in Rocco.
Yeah.
That can't reach up here, and referred people on a little bit. So like that's our thing, is like it's not just the areas, like we want to help. Even if we can't reach you, we would still like to help you get to an ideal environment that can help you.
Yep.
So definitely reach out even if we're too far away. Like I got a kid coming up from Mandurah, who's coming in tomorrow, Arvo. So again, if they can reach this far, they can reach this far. If not, we'll help you a little bit and push you in the right direction. Like we're definitely not done down there, but I just think like realistically from us and the spread that we have, like it's been a little bit stress relieving in terms of the ability to get across all of them. Yeah. Because 2 was stressful enough, so the fact that 3 doesn't feel more stressful, it's nice. Yeah, it is, and that's the main thing, is we need to be able to manage these and look after these and nurture these and provide a level of service. Yeah. If we get stretched too thin, it goes to crap. We go down. Yeah, everything else, blah blah blah, from there. So, as not the ideal situation, but in the long run, I think it'll be the best thing that helps us create longevity. Yeah. Especially with the ability to be there for a long time as well. Yeah.
That kind of rounds it out.
I think so.
I'm sure there's things we've missed along the way.
Definitely missed a lot.
Very nice. Or how about HQ? How about HQ?
Oh.
Yeah,
HQ
forget about
renos.
this. Yeah, HQ renos. Huge. The amount of people that's come in here that haven't been in here for a while and gone, holy heck.
It's been quite a barometer in terms of we're talking about consistency, but the people who have been inconsistent, they come in and they're like, whoa, this is different. I was like, man, this has been different for 3 weeks.
A while now.
It took 3 months. If you haven't seen it, this is a bit concerning.
Yeah, added a mezzanine, gave us a second floor, which is cool.
Where we're sitting right now.
Yeah. It gave us a lot more space, obviously a lot more gym floor space.
I think it was, I don't know, I feel like everything worked out perfectly because all the old equipment obviously went straight up to North. Yeah. So that was half the reason North was doable.
Yeah.
because we had all this equipment available. Because anyone that knows, obviously, that's another thing. But I think it's just nice. Like, I feel like it's that reward for all the hard work that's been done, and it's reward for the athletes that have been here to walk in and go, this is sick.
Yeah.
Like, we're proud to call this our gym.
Yeah.
Going from something that had like maybe 20 mats in a corner and 2 squat racks, dumbbells up to 30, to this has been pretty cool. And I don't think we're done, but
Yeah.
we're definitely in a good position for how we're set up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
You got to come in and say it for yourself.
Yeah. Anything else? I feel like we've missed a lot in that, but
yeah.
that's
It's
an
a
hour.
big year. A very big year.
Yeah.
It was a big year.
All right, Keith, you want to wrap it up?
All right. No.
That's just a big.
Oh, I'm going to have to do so much editing.
Thank you very much for obviously tuning in to episode 18. Obviously, we're back, and hopefully we'll keep this nice and consistent throughout the year. We'll try our hardest to, anyway. But if you have anything that you want us to talk about, feel free to send us a text with any topics. Other than that,
Keith will take 15 business days to get back to you.
no, actually, I've been pretty good lately. I've been pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then also, if there's any athletes that you'd like us to interview,
Yeah.
obviously that's one of the best episodes are the ones where we can interview
Someone.
one of our athletes, talk about their story and all the lessons that they've learned along the way, and share their wisdom with all the athletes in here.
Feel free to let us know. But other than that, thank you very much.
Subscribe, like, follow.
Like, follow, and subscribe. Thank you very much.